This is the Recovery Lab.
Here we dive deep into the struggles, victories, and hope that stem from recovery.
No shame, no judgment, just truth, grace, and inspiration.
Let's walk this road together.
All right, welcome to Recovery Lab, episode 101.
101.
All right, I'm David Sugg.
I'm Drew Hassin.
I'm Daniel Anderson.
We are the Recovery Lab. We are here this week with Kodie Mann, a local legend in the service industry, close friend, almost family, really. Thank you so much for coming on today. I know what a pain in the ass it is for you to come and sit with us, and I really appreciate it. But I've seen you grow over the past 10 years, do amazing things, overcome some of the deepest hardships, and just having someone like you on a podcast is what this podcast is all about. Interviewing, getting to know you a little better, and letting the public know that it can be done in any circumstance. So thank you for coming and spending an hour with us.
Thanks for forcing me to do this.
Yeah, let's get it.
Now, talking to the public, it should not be that difficult because I mean you've been working in the service industry for I don't know how long.
Since I was 17.
17. What was your first gig?
Holy Mackerel on Lakeland Drive.
Okay.
Yes.
What was Holy Mackerel all about?
They did Cajun style food. The restaurant was not doing very well, so I didn't exactly get sucked in at that moment. But that was my first go at it.
Okay. Is that where you fell in love with performance-enhancing drugs? Were you doing some stuff there to keep you going, or was it just fun then?
I was already on drugs long before then. I moved down to New Orleans to get off of drugs.
To get off of drugs.
To get off of drugs. Which is most people's reaction to that. But
How'd that work out?
At first, it was a little rocky. You know, you can find drugs anywhere. But I finally got high one night and was like, what the fuck am I doing? And I woke up the next morning and started drinking. Traded one for the other. I didn't understand addiction at all at that point. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're a poly user. You just use some of the dry stuff, some of the wet stuff. You do it all, huh?
Well, I started drinking because I thought that I didn't have a problem with alcohol. I'd never had a problem with alcohol. I drank whenever I was younger, and it was never a thing. So I thought that I would be fine.
Wow.
Not fine.
So how bad did just drinking get?
I mean, it was bad. I don't understand why some people can build tolerances so easily or handle their alcohol better. And I was one of those people that could build a tolerance and handle it. And, the drinking started right off where the drugs ended. But it got worse. I moved back to Jackson and got a job at the Bulldog, waiting tables. And I had started college. I wanted to be a nurse anesthetist.
Okay.
I was off of drugs. I was doing great.
That good dope with the nurse anesthetist, or was it just? Did you actually?
When I made my mind up to stop doing drugs, like that was
really.
It was. I didn't want anything to do with it anymore.
Yeah.
But then, like while on drugs, I'd caught 2 felonies, and when I found out that felons could not get into nursing school, the drinking really amped up after that. Like I was just kind of like, fuck it, I'm making good money waiting tables.
Yeah.
I'm a felon, I can't do anything with my life, so here we go. So it really amped up after that.
Did drinking end up being the most problematic for you, or was it?
I mean, I would do any drug and that I could get my hands on.
Here.
But
Well said.
the friend group that I fell into, it was mostly meth. And I could easily say that, like, my drinking addiction was the exact same as my meth addiction. I wanted to get as fucked up as humanly possible with both things. I think I was a junkie by 15. Like, I think I might have used meth twice before I started shooting it up. Like, that was always the goal, was to get as messed up as possible, as quickly as possible.
Look, I went from never having seen meth in my whole life to snorting it to shooting it up about 2 months later.
Mm-hmm.
And I was grown.
Yeah. To call this a progressive disease is an understatement. It is just wild, man. It goes from like slip and slide in the yard to Six Flags over Crackville really quick.
Real fast.
Yeah, really fast. Yeah. Goodness.
Well, how long have you been sober?
10 years.
Yeah.
No
10
way.
years.
Sorry.
Shut the
That is
fuck
awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I want to dig into that, but I want to qualify you first. So we know you got drinking's a big deal. You've had been doing it early. You're a lot like me, almost an adolescent alcoholic. And I mean, just like drinking at a really young age, getting into a lot of trouble. And I didn't realize that with you, that you really had that passion to go do something pretty normal, like being a nurse. But I was the same way. I mean, I pulled my head out of my ass at 18 years old, and I've already got 2 felonies, and just like, what am I going to do now? And so, becoming an entrepreneur was pretty much the only real option, because going and getting a legit job, student loans, finishing a 4-year school was just like not going to happen. It took me a while to finally get in there, but I didn't realize that's kind of what led, because you and I we're like kindred spirits. I mean, you've always hustling, you're always finding a deal. You've done some cool real estate stuff. You've been running, managing different careers. It's been really cool to see you do stuff. I didn't realize that's how it started. So that's interesting. So tell me about, you've been sober 10 years. Tell me about what it was like 11 years ago. What was going on?
The drinking had gotten so bad, and the depression had gotten so bad. My mom passed away from this disease, and so I remember with my head on the bar one night, just crying. Like, everyone's at the bar and they're having fun, and I'm just like, my forehead's on the bar, and I'm just crying because I was convincing myself that it was okay, that I was going to die just like my mother did. And one of the things that I had always, I guess, justified my drinking was that my bills were always paid months in advance. I'd made so much money bartending and waiting tables that, like, financially, it did not affect me at all. And I had never called into work for a hangover. But the November before my wreck, I called in not just one day, but I couldn't go to work for 3 days.
Wow.
I was in such bad shape, and so when my wreck happened, I had already continued to try to pay my bills in advance, but was like trying to save up to go to rehab. Like,
Yeah.
I knew it was time.
Yeah. How dark it is before the dawn, man. How dark it is.
Well, what foresight you had to think, I really need some help, and the courage to really work towards that goal. We don't hear that story very often.
No.
No, it's easy. I mean, we'll get, it's real easy at the end there to, hey, I need some help. But to actually be willing to take some action, absolutely not. I had to hit a wall. I had to hit the hardest brick wall ever created. And you didn't that time.
Well, that's what ended up happening, was hit a wall with my car. So,
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You want to talk about that?
It was a weird chain of events. So I had gotten a DUI in 2013, so I really didn't drink or drive anymore. And that night we had a bonfire, little fire out at the house on the back porch area, and I started getting a migraine. I always called it a beer headache. Like, if I just drank 2 beers, I was always going to get a headache. So back then I was prescribed to painkillers and Ativan, because my brain never shuts off, and I will not go to sleep if I don't take something to go to sleep. So I went to sleep, took my medicine. I guess woke up about 1 o'clock in the morning and felt so much better. And my best friend and roommate at the time, I said, let's go to the bar and have one drink. And we went. And I had never drank on top of my medicine before. That's actually how my mom died, was she had a 6-pack of beer and 1 Xanax in her system.
Yeah.
That was it. Her heart stopped. So I was super weird about, that. But so I remember getting to the bar. I remember ordering a drink, maybe taking a sip out of it. I remember a friend ordering us a shot, taking that. And the next thing I remember is waking up on the pavement.
You on the trace?
No, I don't remember. It's the road that goes from Jackson to Flowwood.
Okay.
I guess that'd be
25.
Old 80, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you wake up, you in the hospital, or are you going straight to rehab? What are you doing right after that?
They took me to the hospital to make sure that, and then they sent me to jail.
Yeah.
But my arraignment was an emotional day, because whenever I walked into court, there was probably 100 people in there on my behalf.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I had asked my attorney, I was like, I need to go to rehab. If
Yeah.
the judge will let me, I need to go. And my friend Danielle, her dad actually stood up for me in court and asked the judge to give me some grace and let me go. Because after my wreck or after my DUI in 2013, I didn't drink and drive anymore.
Yeah.
And so when Danielle's family had learned that that technically it should have been Danielle because she was the one that always drove, standing in front of the judge and me in the hospital. He showed me a lot of grace
Yeah.
and begged the judge to let me go. So
Did they let you?
Mhm.
Where'd you go?
I went to the Women's Region 8 facility down in Hazelhurst.
Okay. What was that like?
The food was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was scared, but I was ready. Like, they gave me my little notebooks and my workbooks and everything, and they took me to the class after I got my bedroom little set up, and I just sat down and started taking notes immediately. Wow. Like I wanted to learn. I think I got there in like the middle of the week, and I was upset that I'd already missed 2 days of class. It was a cognitive behavioral therapy rehab. I learned a lot, and
for listeners who don't know, what are some of those exercises? What's some of that stuff like?
We did a lot of trigger therapy.
Yeah.
We had to watch a lot of intervention. I remember one girl there got very upset. She was a meth addict, and we were on one of those intervention things, and the lady stopped the tape, and she was like, I don't want to hear it. Think how Kodie feels. She's not going to, you just have to go home and not watch intervention. Kodie's going to get out and there's going to be a Bud Light commercial or a Crown commercial. And I was like, don't bring me into this. So a lot of intervention. There were classes about learning about the roots of addiction. There was a doctor, I think, that had lost his license because of addiction. And whenever he got out of rehab, he wanted to learn so much more about it. And so it was you have to have food, water, shelter, and love. And as a child, when one of those things are missing, normally your parents are going to feed you, water you, and give you shelter. But the love thing just really, that's what you latch onto. Like when parents go through divorce or a parent gets remarried or they just don't show you enough attention, you start gravitating like towards people that are also kind of going through the same thing. And those people happen to drink or smoke pot or, whatever. And like while you're drunk or high, you feel all happy and loving and you start forming these relationships with these kids. And it replaces the love that you're not getting at home. And I absolutely loved that video. I was just like in awe watching it. And there was a lot of individual therapy sessions, which, for 15 years of me getting drunk and high, I didn't cry at all. Now I cry all the time. But I remember the week before I got out of rehab, my counselor was like, you've told me your entire life story. You should be in a mental hospital with the trauma that you've gone through, and you haven't shed a single tear. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to muster up some tears so I can get the hell out of here.
Crying is the mark, yeah.
Yeah. But the structure, getting up, being told what time to get up, what to do. They let us smoke cigarettes, but that was on a time schedule too, and I wasn't real happy about that. That was rough, but.
How long were you there for?
28 days.
And then right back out into the workforce? Okay, what was that like?
My family couldn't afford to keep me there much longer. None of them thought I could stay sober either. So,
well, you had a lot riding on it, didn't you? I mean,
oh yeah,
yeah.
Yes, that would have been my third felony.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yes, I got out of rehab and immediately tried to go back to bartending, and everyone's like, no, thank you. And so I got a job. I called myself a staple engineer.
Yeah.
I pulled staples out of paper so they could make the paper copies into digital.
Nice.
It was horrible.
Where'd you find that gig?
One of my bar regulars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Connections working out.
Yeah. It fits.
I was making in 1 week what I was used to making on a slow night at the bar. It's very humbling.
Yeah, I made a lot of money waiting tables and working bars, man. Made a lot of money, but it is it's a different world. And I actually tended bar during a sobriety stint almost 25 years ago in Hattiesburg. I worked for Robert St. John on one of his little endeavors, Blues Alley. And I was bar backing and bartending at like 18, 19 years old, sober as a judge and making really, really good money. It was awesome when it was working. And then I went out to be a camp counselor at a Christian youth camp and relapsed hard, real hard. So it's kind of weird. That's where I learned, like, it's not really where I am, but it's really what I'm doing. It was so weird to like be able to stay sober with a bunch of friends, work in a bar, and then go hang out in a Christian environment. I just couldn't do it. Now I know it's because I wasn't being honest with myself. I didn't have any connection. I couldn't talk about what I was feeling, what I was thinking in the church setting for me, but I was able to do it in the other setting. So anyhow. So when did you get back into the bar?
I was, I think, around 5 or 6 months sober.
Yeah. Finally, that pocket started, it was a little too lean, wasn't it? You need to get something in there.
The manager at Sam's called me back. He had hired a girl while I was gone, and of course didn't want to fire her just because I'd just gotten out of rehab. But whenever she left, he called me. He said, "Are you ready to come back to work?" And I was like, smoke coming off my heels.
Sam's West Side.
Sam's Lounge.
Sam's Lounge.
For our out of the area listeners, could you describe what Sam's Lounge is like?
It is a dive bar.
Yes.
It is. You come
right
out
there
smelling.
where Old Canton hits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you will wake up smelling like bad decisions.
Had you worked there before?
Yes, I've been there since 2010.
Okay. Yeah. So you go in, it's like, yep, I got to make some money. I'm going to go sling some drinks, work the bar over here. And you're there for, till when?
Get there at 4 p.m. and get out of there about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Is your sobriety right now, is it being challenged? What's it like? Are you feeling like you're in a gray zone, or are you on board fully with your recovery and with your work? Like, how is that working out? Because I know a lot of people tend to go into restaurants and things. It's not easy for everybody. In fact, a lot of my sponsees, I recommend staying out of the restaurant world. It's not cut out for everybody. How are you doing it?
So when I first went back to bartending, I had heard that there were people at another bar and they were all taking bets on how long it would take me to relapse. And my best friend of 20-something years was sitting at the bar and they're like, "Lindsay, you want to get in on this?" She's like, "I'm not betting against that one." Mm. Once she makes her mind up, like, it's done.
Yeah.
I feel like it was just as simple. Like, I didn't want to drink anymore. It didn't matter if I was in a bar. It didn't matter if I was in an office. No matter where I was at, I didn't want to drink. So, like, it didn't make sense to me to not make money and be comfortable.
You still work there?
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was still open.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't get over there. That's out of town very much.
I don't bartend as much. I will go in if I have to.
What is your role there now?
I just manage.
Okay.
Go in and do inventory, hire, fire, orders.
You're herding the cats, slapping the drunks, counting the money, making sure the bottles go clank, clank, clank. Everything's good. Go in there, pick up a shift every now and then?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Your full-time gig is?
Cutting hair.
How you like that?
I'm loving it.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
When COVID happened, they wouldn't let bars open back up.
Mm-hmm.
So I started freaking out because it's the only thing I'd really ever known. And so the owner at Noble Barber had been harping on me for years to go get a barber's license. So I did it.
Yeah.
But there's a bar there too. We serve beer with haircut.
Yeah. Yeah. So talking about COVID, it's shaking up your bar life. How'd that shake up your recovery life whenever COVID hit? That
was weird. Like, that was shit you see in movies. I'm like, what do you mean we're going home?
Yeah.
It was the craziest shit. I latched on to our online little meetings
Yeah.
just to, like, make sure I was okay. Because it was constant checking, like, am I okay? Is everyone else okay? Like, what the fuck is going on?
It's tough. It was tough. I think, especially on new people. Like, I can't imagine needing that sense of community that comes in early recovery from going to meetings and seeing people and hanging out a little bit before and a little bit after and having that rug pulled out from under you.
Yeah.
Must have been challenging.
Did you see new people come in during COVID? Like you're talking about? Did you see new people? Like, did they show up on your online meeting?
Nathan was new in recovery then.
Yeah.
He was basically living at the house. And so I would tune in just to make sure he was okay and was like getting some information. And
Yeah.
I forget everybody had a different experience with COVID because it didn't really interrupt my life at all. I came to work every day.
Yeah.
The only real thing we did was I didn't go in other people's office and they didn't come in mine. But outside of that, there wasn't much change at all.
Yeah.
Well, dude, my business literally like supercharged as soon as COVID started. And I didn't get sober till April 11th of 21. So like COVID was, I mean, it was a cluster, but I was still like in meetings, you know, I was still going to like Zoom meetings, like Traditions. And, so it was like a weird thing, like watching all this happen, having one foot in addiction, still doing meth and Adderall and stuff, but also like kind of being involved with the 12-step community as well. It was absolutely wild. I don't know how you guys made it through that without relapsing. I mean, I obviously was relapsing the whole entire time. So it was kind of a little bit of a different experience for me, but what kept you grounded during COVID while everything was completely shut down?
I think the same thing that's kept me grounded throughout my entire sobriety, and that is bugging the shit out of my sponsor.
Is your sponsor sitting in this room right now?
Yes, she is.
Oh.
Yeah. The plot thickens.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Sponsorship has been a big part. I mean, I feel like a sister to me because your relationship to Rachel, my wife, and y'all do talk a lot. And I love seeing how y'all have really connected and stuck together and just walked this road because y'all both have been through a lot of tough stuff in sobriety. But you've also flipped the script and you've sponsored some women, and I've seen you do that. It's been really, really cool. Yeah.
Not my favorite activity.
No.
No.
It's work. It's a labor of love. If it was convenient, it wouldn't be service work, would it?
No.
Yeah.
Well, look, I see your shirt says what I believe is the word worship.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why you have a shirt that says worship on it.
So I suffer from OCD, a pretty hefty case of it, and I obsess about things. And the current obsession is Sleep Token, and it's a Sleep Token shirt.
What is Sleep Token?
It's a band.
Is it a worship band?
It's a strange band. They call the concerts rituals, and there is a lot of I don't want to say religious undertones. But I don't know. It's just weird.
Spiritual, like.
So there's lore where they follow this deity Sleep.
Okay.
I don't particularly like the lore part or their outfits, but the words to the lyrics to the songs are healing. They make me feel a lot, cry a lot. So
We'll all be Googling Sleep Token on the way home today.
Absolutely.
If I had Spotify, I would pull them up their own, but I don't.
I'm tempted to do it right now.
I know. What's your favorite Sleep Token song? What's your go-to?
Ascensionism.
We're all Googling it right now.
No, but what lengths would you go to see Sleep Token live? Like,
I
how
have
far would you
flown-
travel?
I have flown to England to go see them.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me
They
about
were
that.
not. They were touring in America, and I missed it.
Yeah. So,
so-
international flight, booking it. Let's do this.
Yep.
Did you do that alone?
No, I took my son and his girlfriend with me.
Wow. Okay, little family event.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. How'd they enjoy it?
My son bitched the entire time.
What do sons do?
Well,
Take, and then bitch.
They sure do a great
Oh, wow.
deal of it.
Look at the monitor, everyone.
Sleep Token. Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting though. How did you find Sleep Token? That's the interesting thing, because you weren't looking for any kind of.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a hybrid of Slipknot, and what's the guy that does the marijuana song?
The marijuana song.
Yeah,
Because I got high, Afro Man.
no.
The one marijuana song out there. So no, you're cruising.
TikTok.
You're cruising, but you're looking. What are you looking for?
I'm just on TikTok, and
Yeah.
people were using one of the songs for their videos, and I was like, "Wow, this is fun."
Yeah.
And I looked them up, and I saw them, and I was like, "I don't know about all
Ghost
that."
is the band I was trying to think of.
Ghost.
Ghost. Mary on a Cross is their song that I was trying to remember.
one weed song.
Well, that wasn't where I thought the conversation was headed. I thought I was going to ask you about your T-shirt, and you were going to talk about how the Lord
Just
got
left church. No.
I'm a deacon at Word of Life Church.
So unexpected. I didn't think that Sleep Token was going to have quite the lore. Sounds like a good word for it. They look lore filled.
Yeah.
I think they're full of autism.
Yeah.
Got a touch of autism, but
Undiagnosed, but we're pretty sure it's there.
Yeah.
yes, I feel like music's been a huge part of my sobriety.
Okay, there we go. Now we're back
Yeah.
on track.
Elaborate on that, will you?
I've just always loved music.
Just because
But,
how
like-
it makes you like the
Yes,
emotions it brings
the
up, like how it
emotions,
like
yes.
makes you feel
Yeah.
like
I saw a meme the other day. It was like when you restart a song because it didn't hurt you enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of that.
All right, I have a theory on this because I too love music. One of the first real bonds I made with my wife was over music. And I think that every person I know in addiction has some strong connection to music, or in recovery, rather. And everybody's always listening to something when you're getting high. And I think that one of the common threads between all of us is this inability to process emotions
right.
in a way that normal people can. And I think that music allows us to experience these emotions in a healthy environment. And that's why we gravitate towards some of the music that we do. I've thought about
In a way
this
that we
lot.
can control.
In a way that's controllable. Like, why would you listen to a song that makes you sad? Like, why would you? And I'll do it all the time on repeat. And then why, well, it's easy to figure out why I would listen to a song that makes me happy. I mean, obviously, who doesn't like happy?
Right.
But I have figured out, my hypothesis is that we have some sort of emotional irregulation problem, and that through music we are able to access certain emotions and process certain things that we wouldn't otherwise. So hopefully maybe you're bringing Sleep Token to the masses. Now you can figure there are easily 10 more people in the world.
Tens and tens
There
of people.
are 10 more people will hear about Sleep Token because of your T-shirt. 10.
I'm glad I wore it.
Yeah, we need to give a request to the guys at Lighthouse or even Bridge, see if they can't put together some music therapy for us. There's got to be a
Yeah.
play there, man. Like, instead of talking about feelings and doing triggers, can we just do some music therapy?
Look, I had
Yeah.
music therapy at Whitfield one time.
Yeah.
And it was this woman who brought this out-of-tune acoustic guitar, and we were punished by having to listen to her. The only therapy was how happy I was when she left.
I got to do a drum circle once. That was pretty cool. That was really cool. It got a little weird. That was nice though. Everybody just kind of doing their own thing, but all together at the same time, just kind of like life. It was cool, man.
Well, Hattiesburg certainly promotes that kind of behavior.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Hattiesburg, Rachel and I went down just yesterday, hang out with Sugg for the day and do some chores for her and just hang out there. It's always a cool town. You know, we came to Jackson. I thought Jackson was going to be a bigger version of Hattiesburg,
It's
and
not.
I could not have been more wrong.
No.
I mean, Jackson is just wild. And I know that you have Sam's Lounge over there on the corner of the 55 Frontage Road. Not only have you been in business and like worked really hard, but you've also like seen some of the challenges that Jackson has with the homeless population, with some of the crime. I mean, you're a frontiers person. You're out there on the front line doing business, staying sober, wide-eyed, and seeing it all. What do you think about some of these things that are happening right now in Jackson with the population?
There are entertaining aspects to it. Bum fights.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. One thing that really got me thinking about it, like there's a lot of them that are, addicts and, self-medicating and stuff. We had a homeless young man come in the bar one night. It was freezing cold outside, and I could tell he was a little off, but like I didn't get bad vibes off of him. And so I was like, you can sit out in the lobby, just don't ask anyone for cigarettes or a drink or anything. And he's like, yes, ma'am. 2 drunk patrons were on their way to the bathroom and found him and became best friends with him. So the story that we got out of him, his mother had passed away. He gets a disability check for his mental illness. And so his aunt took him in. And when the checks started coming, she came and dropped him off.
And kept the money.
Yeah. So I know it wouldn't fix the homeless problem, but if more social workers were maybe hired, or if 10 people were hired to go check to make sure that these people that are getting disability checks are actually in the homes where the checks are being mailed to,
Yeah.
that might help a little bit.
No doubt.
Put a small dent into it. Yeah, it's
You
bad.
gotta be a cold bitch to steal your nephew.
Cold hard
your
bitch.
retarded nephews.
Cold game,
That's
Drew.
cold, man.
Cold. But you got to do what it takes.
Yeah, we put him on a bus to Texas with a different family member.
Yeah.
I used to give him bottles of water and feel bad for him and stuff, but they've not made me a very nice person over the years.
Your empathy has been exhausted.
Yes. One, he was outside, and then he walked inside the bar, and my back was towards the door, and I heard this water running, and I'm like, that's weird.
He
And
was
I turned
peeing.
around. He was peeing in the middle of my floor.
Oh.
The sun wasn't even down yet. I was like, you were just outside. You could have done this out there. It's a nice
Well,
day.
has that fence they put up around that overpass helped?
They
any?
just sleep in front of it. Or they sleep under the bridge. They set some tires on fire, which ruined the bridge, which made the frontage road impassable, which really impacted business for a couple months. And I think a week ago, they had another fire going under there. So
Wow. We're going to see the homeless population. We're going to see the situation get worse before it gets better. There's no doubt about that. Housing costs, and then with other municipalities being able to enforce that sleeping outside being illegal, they're going to start focusing on places that either don't enforce it or it's just easier to go. But I tell you what, when I talk to anybody that it is homeless, if I stop and start talking to them, unhoused, whatever it is, 9 times out of 10, I see how they're suffering from some kind of mental disability. There's something going on. I mean, very rarely do I meet a guy who's just like, nah, I'm a junkie. I really don't want to go get a job. Those do exist, but most of the time it takes about 2 minutes of conversation. Like, oh, something's off here. There's some serious trauma. There's somewhere on the spectrum, or something's going on. And sometimes they'll talk about it. Sometimes they won't. But it's pretty obvious that the streets aren't just crowded with people who just don't want to work. I mean, they might not want to work, but I'm seeing like a lot of sick, hurt people out there, and it's kind of heartbreaking that there's no place for them to go. When I see them behind those cages that they put up onto the interstate, I'm like, I hope they feel safe back there, because that's where they go.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next for you? You're working 2 jobs really. You're managing the bar. You're cutting hair. You've kind of become like a little country land developer. You got a nice spread out near Florida. You're always looking to acquire the neighbor's land or something.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
They're not making it easy.
No.
Well, they're not making it cheaper out there either.
also that.
That dirt's expensive.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I remember when you bought that place, and it was kind of a crapshoot. You didn't know what you were getting into. You hadn't been on a place that big, and you've really homesteaded it. You got a lot of pets, a lot of love, a lot of stuff going on out there. But tell us what it's been like getting to do that.
It's hurt my bank account.
Yeah.
I've dumped some money into it. I
What
would like.
did you have? You just bought a parcel of land, or you built a house, or
No, so it's 40 acres
and a mule?
and a big. I know
Mhm.
everyone. I get hit with that all the time. No, there was this big house on said land that needed a lot of work done to it, and it's been expensive. But it
money
is
pit.
beautiful now, the money pit. But it is technically a very small blueberry farm. There's also pecans and pears, but it's
Blueberry farm.
it's the sweetest blueberries ever.
Do you charge people like, all right, for $20 you can have this bucket and you can pick the blueberries?
Have you
or-
ever picked blueberries before?
I have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going out there to do that. I'll go get my own personal ones. If you want to come get some blueberries, you're welcome to, but I'm not going to pick your blueberries for you.
Does that
No,
offer?
I meant you give them a bucket and they go pick their own blueberries.
Yeah.
There's really not, I wouldn't say there's enough for that.
Okay.
Like, I need to get it under control.
Do you farm these blueberries, or is this just a naturally occurring patch of blueberries?
They were already there. There's several rows of them. We found more. We bush hogged a field, and about 3-foot blueberry bushes grew
Wow.
and were covered in blueberries. And I was like,
So hypothetically, if someone were to volunteer, are there like weeds and stuff growing around the bushes right now, or is it all cleaned up around there?
the ones by the house, so it's fine, but the ones up front really need some attention.
So hypothetically, if someone were to volunteer to weed eat around those and make those really, really pretty, at some point down the line, would that person be able to come and perhaps harvest a substantial amount of blueberries from said bushes?
Yes.
Wonderful.
I'm not lying. We used to do meth, and he would weed eat my house.
And then we do a hot rail in his
He
living
likes
room.
it.
Whenever
Listen,
these bushes start putting off crack rocks,
Yeah.
can I come back?
This is less hypothetical and more. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how the blueberries are going to go. Farm work is not my happy place.
That's my
Yeah.
jam, bro. That's my fucking jam. We'll talk.
Do you have a goal that you want to do with the place out there?
Live.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
You got a lot of
It's
animals. It's
peaceful.
pretty much their play. I mean, they run it, don't they? I mean, how many dogs you got?
I have 8.
Hey, dog.
8 dogs.
What other animals you got?
A cat.
Yeah.
And that's it.
You got no cows, no horses,
No.
You
muskrats.
got to get some cows for some tax reasons.
And some
Yeah.
chickens.
You got to get.
We do want chickens
Yes.
and we do want cows. I want nothing to do with horses.
Pretty
That's
sure you
fine.
can get like
That's
one
fair.
cow and get like some serious tax incentives for that.
Not only that, you raise it and then you harvest it, and then like you're set. Are you a vegetarian?
No, but if a cow has a personality,
Yeah, I
then
got it,
you
I
can't
got it.
harvest
But do
it.
they?
You got to
But
give
do
it.
they really have
Some do.
Okay.
You have to name
They're
them
they're
and
actually
then
very,
love
very
them.
smart. They're very, very
Mhm.
smart.
And they taste real good, though.
Yeah.
It's hard to trump that.
You grow me some Wagyu out there. You won't have to kill it. I will. Okay.
You'll see David with a headlight creeping in at night.
I'll be out there massaging it, feeding it blueberries, whispering to it, and when the time is right,
You're
we will
so
all
pretty.
say,
You're my favorite. You're beautiful. Well, and there's, mushrooms,
mm-hmm. Which have their uses. Yeah. Wrong.
medicinal.
Yes.
The recovery lab
Well, this
does
took a turn, didn't it?
we do not endorse mushrooms. Just throwing that out there.
Portobello, however, are absolutely
They are
delicious.
good.
That's
Well,
what we're
isn't
referring
it
to.
nice to see somebody that turns things around? Having felonies on your record that's a drag, and it is unfair that felons are treated the way that they are in the job market, and having the student loan availability be evaporated.
I got a question real quick.
Okay.
So what lessons have you learned throughout having to push through that, the whole having the stigma of being a convicted felon? What lessons have you learned as a result of having that barrier, but also knowing that you have to do something to get past that? What have you done to push through that? And also, is that something that you've been able to help and share with other felons that are going or have gone through the exact same thing that you have? Because it's not like it's just okay, you're a felon, then just throw up your hands, there's nothing we can do, and just keep on going. Like, you have to, like, what steps did you have to take that you wouldn't have had to take had you not been a convicted felon?
Well, I wonder if my drinking would have gotten better, if my wreck would have never happened, if I was actually able to get into nursing school. Or would I have continued to get drunk and fail out of that? Like, I was very angry. Anger's my go-to emotion. Whenever I found out that I couldn't better myself because of my felony. It blows my mind that you can mess up, pay your debt to society, and
Still have the
you're
stain.
stuck with it. There are, I have to wonder how many people have felonies that continue to sell drugs or continue on their paths because they just feel like their life is over.
And on paper, it looks that way.
I have gone through tens of thousands of dollars in hair follicle tests and attorney fees trying to get my stuff expunged and just get told no.
I was about to ask, is your felony expungible?
So I got one here in Mississippi and one in Louisiana. Went in front of a judge here and got told, well, you're only eligible you can only have one in Mississippi. So the way that he worded it, we took it as I needed to get my felony expunged in Louisiana first, and then I would only have one in Mississippi, and then I'd be eligible. So we did that. Well, then that judge moved up into the Supreme Court, and my new judge was like, no, you're not eligible because you've already had one expunged in Louisiana.
Oh, he's saying you can only have one felony expunged, period, and we're going to count.
In the entire world. If you had one in California, you can't have one in Mississippi then. So, and he had also mentioned that it wasn't a question of whether I was rehabilitated. It was if I was eligible. So since he was stating that I was obviously rehabilitated, I was like, cool, we'll just come back and get my certificate of rehabilitation and get my gun rights back. And I got 40 acres of land with lots of deer on it. It would be nice to not kill them with a spoon. Then I got told no on that.
What is a certificate of rehabilitation?
So it gives you your rights back as far as being able to own a weapon.
And vote also, or no on voting?
So I'm not a violent felon, so I can still vote.
Okay.
Yeah. You can have your gun rights.
I mean, I don't think a lot of people know that. I've been around, you know what I'm saying? I've been in and out, and I've never heard of anybody even talking about getting a certificate of rehabilitation. Expungement, they don't really even care about because we kind of know, like, that's not really even possible. But, like, what is this, lawyer Drew? Like, what is a certificate of rehabilitation? Why is it not more widely promulgated and people aren't, like, actively trying to pursue that? Like, do you know anything about it?
I don't know. I'm not a criminal defense attorney, so I don't know a lot about this. Yeah. My intuition tells me there's probably not a lot of advertisement about this avenue of relief.
Right.
Because there's just not a shit ton of people that want felons to get their gun rights back.
just seems like that should be the goal. I mean, that's what the Department of Corrections, right? I mean, we're trying to get people back in the mainstream of life, get them back on the tax roll, get them back on the land roll, get them back voting, participating, picking their kids up in the school line, right? Like,
well, I do know a little bit more about this. So I remember this from criminal law. We learned that, I think I'll get this right. I don't talk about this very often, and I certainly don't research it. But so there was a movement, I think, in the 60s that wanted to promulgate a uniform code of criminal statutes. The Model Penal Code was the result of this. And it sought to formalize across all jurisdictions, what does burglary mean? What does assault mean? How do you define it? The Model Penal Code. And the Model Penal Code was drafted by, I can't remember the name of the body, but their goal was less on punishment and more on rehabilitation. Focus more on rehabilitating the offender so that they could become what you described as functioning member of society that contributes and pays taxes and, lives the good life. But rubbing against that is the historic desire to rub somebody's nose in it and to exact vengeance for whatever misdeed they committed. And you're in a state that's all about some vengeance. Mississippi is, it is not the philosophy of the common or average Mississippian to think of new and interesting ways to rehabilitate prisoners. Yeah. All they're going to think of is, how can we feed them for less money and put more of them in smaller boxes and fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
There's kitchen knives that we're not even allowed to have.
Pocket knives, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
kitchen
above,
knife. Did you say kitchen?
Kitchen knives.
Isn't it like 4 inches?
Oh, kitchen knives.
Yeah. There are certain kitchen knives that we are not allowed to have in our homes.
Yeah.
What I don't understand as far as like the whole gun situation goes, it's like, I'm not a violent criminal. But if I was, like, you don't give me my gun rights back. If I wanted to hurt someone, I could do it with anything. Like, gun's not.
I never really understood the gun prohibition. I certainly don't understand the loss of the right to vote. That seems crazy to me.
We don't lose our rights to pay taxes.
Yeah, you're not going to lose that.
Right. Yeah.
One of the worst, this isn't necessarily felons, but like dads or even maybe moms, but dads who are behind on child support, one of the first things to do is take away their driver's license.
Yeah.
Like, that's freaking insane. Like, I mean, really, kids, $10,000 behind in child support. You're going to take away his driver's license? Okay, this is really going to help. That's super frustrating. But hey, a little call to action to our tens upon tens of listeners. If y'all know of a legislator, somebody who's a lawmaker, somebody who's defender, somebody who's trying to get these things expunged, we would like, Recovery Lab would love to talk to y'all, get y'all on here, get you live. If you are a lawmaker who wants to defend some of these states' positions, then come out here and defend yourself. And if you're somebody who defends us, come out here. We'd like to mastermind with you, because I'd love to figure out a way to help other people get their rights back. Because, Kodie, you've been trying this for a long time. You've kind of been my lighthouse whenever I've considered do things. I run ideas by you because you're out there doing it. And the sad thing is, you've got two viable options, whether there's straight up the expungement or the certificate of rehabilitation. Both of them are coming up empty. How much longer are you going to keep swinging?
I'm going to have to wait until the law get changed where you can at least have two expunged. I couldn't even tell you how many emails last year trying to get the judiciary to vote on a bill that was for, I think, two expungements. The problem was that they have it written where a computer just automatically does it. Which I think that's why it keeps getting turned down. So in 2020, I can not remember the bill number, but a bill passed between both the House and the Senate. I think only 5 lawmakers voted against it. So then Tate Reeves vetoes it, and because of COVID, they never went back and did anything with it. But that one, it wasn't the computer. It was simply that you could have two expunged. I think one after 5 years and the second one after 15 years.
So
no,
there is
I'm never-
light. There is light at the end of the tunnel for you getting a.
I mean, there might not be, but I'm not gonna stop getting on their nerves about it.
Yeah.
I've taken a break this year because I'm trying to let Tate Reeves get out of office because he's just not gonna let anything through.
No, he's so aligned himself with more conservative wing of things. Maybe if Delbert Hoseman wins, I think Delbert's a little more liberal.
Maybe business-minded. I don't know. I understand people should be working. I mean, Delbert's done a pretty cool job turning that Secretary of State's website around. I mean, doing like a bunch of tax forfeited properties and getting people to register their businesses. And he's done a pretty good job. He's definitely got a economic-centered mind. And at the end of the day, it's good economics. Get people out of the prison where you're paying $50 a day to house them and get them out there working again. Get them out there and let them do stuff again. It is a crappy thing to be like, feel like we're forced into a lifestyle. Like, because I remember, picking my head up at 25 years old and all the people I went to high school with were, starting their new careers, man. They'd finished college, they were coaching, they were lawyering, they were doing whatever. And I'm like, I'm just restaurant jumping, trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. And did not because I was passionate about the restaurant world, but it's like the modern day pirate ship. It's like, where else am I going to go? And to feel forced into anything definitely fueled my alcoholism. It really did.
I was listening to a podcast about reform. I can't remember what it was, but they were talking about Portugal. And I know that Portugal decriminalized drugs, but part of it was like you can still get in trouble for, not possession of drugs, but if you commit a burglary and you're high or you got drugs on you or you're doing it so you can go get drugs, like instead of them putting you in prison and giving you a felony, they make you go do a year of rehab. Their recidivism rate has dropped. I think they said that 70% of the people that were in prisons were there for drug crimes, and I think it's dropped less than 20%. So their recidivism rate dropped and their tax dollars skyrocketed.
Yeah.
After making people go to rehab instead of prison.
It sounds like you should start a podcast where you bring on the politicians and the criminal defense
There'd be
attorneys.
a lot more cuss words.
That's okay.
That's fine.
I know a guy that can do it for you.
Yeah.
Turns out.
No.
Well, what else do you do in your life that you find meaningful?
I work a lot. I feel like I'm a therapist at work, whether I'm behind the bar or cutting hair. I'm there for people whenever they need to talk about stuff or like
What sex is the majority of the people whose hair you cut?
male.
And so they're just
good
sitting-
looking guys.
they're
some of the most handsome
handsome fellas.
people in Jackson, as a matter of fact.
Some fix their hair, some do not.
Most don't even need to because they just always look amazing. Oh,
Do men really sit there and like, what do they talk about? What are they bringing up to you?
I have had some that thought I was their actual therapist and then apologized and tipped me as if they were paying
Damn straight
for
they
a
better tip
therapy
your ass.
session. Yeah, it's, good days, bad days, sad things, happy things. It's just whatever they need. Just talk to them.
don't we
about it.
sometimes have the 12-step world we take for granted, like being able to walk into a room and just unload? Like Earth people don't get to do that. They really don't. And we just like, yeah, walk into a meeting like, yeah, my wife sucks, my job sucks, don't know what I'm going to do, kind of think like I'm drinking, don't want to pay my taxes. Be like, hey, man, glad you're here. Coffee's over there. Keep coming back. But you walk around the real world doing that, and you get
What
looked
in the
at
hell
weird.
is wrong with you?
Yeah. and you get that. You get that from just about, yeah.
How far is the nearest person cutting hair from you? Because I'm trying to think of where I go get my hair cut. There's a 0% chance I would say any of these things.
3 foot.
One, I wouldn't tell the lady that cuts my hair these things. But two, there are people literally everywhere, like all around.
Yeah, but we got music that's pretty loud.
Okay.
yeah, they'll drop their voices whenever it's something bad or sad. But yeah, if
Gotta
I
lean
hear
in
it all.
tight.
Hmm.
Do you feel like you got some legs in the industry? You want to keep doing it? You enjoying it? You want to see where it
Oh
goes?
yeah, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the next phase of that? Stay at this place? Would you ever open up your own place? Would you just kind of play it by ear? What would
You know, if I ever left the bar, I would have enough energy to open up my own place. But
Mhm.
like right now, I'm spread about as far as I want to be. I do enjoy not having the worry of orders and hiring and firing and taxes
Yep.
and like that's his problem, not mine. So I do kind of like the breather of that.
Yeah, the entrepreneurial lifestyle is tough, especially in recovery. My wife and I trying to do what we do. Not trying, but we do it. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress. And sometimes I wish I could just surrender to the 9 to 5. Just go and just suit up, show up, and get a paycheck. Because it's a lot of stress, man. It's a lot of stress. Keeping up with, I know, worried about other people's paychecks, other people's livelihoods. Like, that's a big stress, man. Like, trying to keep other people taken care of before us. And we get paid last. We get paid. I know you and managing the bar, you get paid last. It's based on how well the bar did. Everybody else gets made whole, and you get to see what's left. And that's sometimes it can be great, but a lot of times it's just a big responsibility. Well, cool. I hope to see you more over there. I know that's a cool venue. I like getting over there. I like talking to you about what's going on. It is nice to have not just going and getting an $8 supercut, but actually getting to connect with you. That's cool.
And this is the Noble Barber, is it?
Yes, Noble.
Where is
Barber.
this?
It's in we have one in Ridgeland. I
Okay.
work at that one, but there's another location in Livingston.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Oh, I didn't know they had two. I'd only seen the one in Livingston.
It's in Township over there by Nukes.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
What's that guy's name that owns it?
Lannis Noble.
Lannis. Yes. I remember when he worked at Barnett's. I worked at Lemuria when he worked there. Couldn't remember his name.
It's a cool model. I like the business model.
Mm-hmm.
Get guys in there, do some drinks, some cool music, $40, $50 haircuts, nice people, not just, put a bowl on your head and whack you down for $12.
For $40 or $50, I better feel better about myself when I
I
leave.
feel better every time. I do.
You'll feel pretty. It's a whole
Yeah.
situation.
That's a
Yeah.
tough sell. You hadn't seen how much hair I've got. Not a lot to do up there.
I can make all 4 hairs beautiful.
All right.
You heard it here first, guys.
Let me think of what I'll come and share with you about my life and how I don't feel good about myself and how you can help me overcome it.
So tell me about one of the hardest things you've been through in recovery and how you made it through that without picking up a drink.
Oh, good question.
Because I've seen you go through some shit. And you ain't got to pick the hardest. I know there's plenty.
Being married was awful.
Yeah.
When my daughter passed away.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry.
Out of all the things, life happening, I never wanted to drink. And I was so surprised, and I knew that the program worked when that happened. And I didn't think about drinking. To say that the thought of a Valium didn't pop up in my head, I would be lying because I wanted to not feel.
Yeah.
But I didn't go do it because I knew that it would not make.
How long ago was this?
Yesterday was 2 years.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel like how well I handled that situation. If I can make it through that, I couldn't imagine a fucking thing left on this planet that would send me over the edge.
Yeah.
I still have 2 sons left, but yeah, that was fucking rough.
Mm-hmm.
So
You come across as such a strong, put together person, and I'm grateful to be in this space with you because having that feminine vibe and but also the very strong,
Determined.
determined, just vibe, but also you're not afraid to be vulnerable. Like having that balance, that's exactly why we do this. It's why we do the Recovery Lab, to show people that you can walk through probably the hardest thing that you'll ever go through in your life. And while you have to keep it together in certain areas of your life, it's also okay to be vulnerable and to show that that was really hard.
I'm still working on that vulnerable thing. I've been like, this is going to sound stupid, but like,
No, it's not. We don't.
such a badass. Like, I never cried. Like, I'm
Yeah.
always just hard. Like, you can't hurt my feelings, like all of that. So, since I've been sober and like crying and vulnerable, like Rachel and David know, like sharing in a meeting, I'll start vibrating. Like, I don't do well with public speaking, especially speaking about things that mean the world to me. So, but I mean, I would say within the last 6 months or since my daughter passed that I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just going to cry. Like, I can't hold it in any longer.
That's
So,
a fucking strength.
Yeah.
That's a strength. That's not a weakness.
I feel like a marshmallow.
All right, one of the coolest things you got to do in sobriety, besides going to London, flying to see Sleep Token with your son, give me something else.
I went to Fiji. I've been to Grenada. Like, I've traveled. I went to Japan. I've traveled a lot.
Yeah, I remember when you were in Japan. I was like, Kodie's in Japan?
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Don't go.
Yeah.
You wouldn't fit in the bathroom. Your knees would be up by your ears. Very, very small bathrooms. Yeah, I've traveled a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is so cool. Because I mean, I was lucky to get a pass to get out of my county. You know, whenever I was in, like, I couldn't go anywhere. And to get to do the travel, and I got to do it with Rachel and get to see my friends do the same kind of thing. It's like, it's just the evidence, man. That body of evidence that, like, this life is good. And there's cool stuff out there. So, yeah, Fiji, Japan. What's next? You got any big trips planned?
A lot of local ones.
Cool. There's plenty of stuff to see here.
A lot
That's
of
cool.
music festivals and stuff. So
Awesome.
Sleep Token will only be at one of them, but
I saw the Cathead was having some kind of music festival. Saw it on Facebook.
Good. We missed it. I don't know if they're doing every other year, but last year the Flaming Lips were here. My brother actually came over from Birmingham to watch the Flaming Lips. It was a lot of fun seeing that with him. I'll be anxious to see what they're doing.
Well, because all 10 of the people listening need to know about this. So I saw on Cathead's Facebook post, they've got this, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but the person's name is Michaela Davis. Like, I'm tempted to think it's a girl.
Maybe.
Or it just could be, you know,
Right.
they have an alternative lifestyle. But Michaela Davis plays a harp, like, you know, and has a cover of Elliott Smith's song Twilight that's a masterpiece. Like, it's fantastic. Look, I got to salute you. If Recovery Lab could do one thing, and it would be a success in my view, and that's to show people that we can have bad shit happen to us and can stay sober. So look, I salute you. God bless you. Because I know that's the most awful thing that a parent can have happen. And here you are, a living testament to you don't have to get high or drunk over it. And you can live a life that other people would want to emulate. So look, God bless you. I mean, I really can't salute you enough for talking about it, crying about it, whatever you need to do about it. Just
And
like,
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I thought you were cool coming in, but when you were able to tap into that emotion, that's what made you a badass in my eyes.
Yes.
thank you.
All right. Before Drew asks you the famous two, but he's going to ask you a couple questions. I just want to give a shout out to our 9 or 10 listeners, whatever. If you want to,
we're at 8. So
hey, great. If
we're
y'all want to
getting
be
there.
on, if you've got a story to tell that could, you know what we're about. We're here to share experience, strength, and hope to destigmatize recovery, to make it accessible to everybody. If y'all want to do it, give us a ring, give us a shout on Facebook. If you know somebody's got a story to tell, please. If you like this podcast, please like it, share it. Because we know that there are a lot of people out there that need to hear this stuff, that are sitting there thinking, what do I do? And you can find me on Facebook. I'm not sure, Kodie, you're
on
out in
Facebook.
Yep. Reach out to her. But if you need somebody, if you want to ask questions or see what it's like to what it's like rebuilding your life, putting it back together, that's what we're here for. So,
Yeah, and one final thing before your questions. We can't do this without you guys, without the support of the public. We would just be talking in an empty room, and it would be absolutely a complete and utter waste of time. So we are so incredibly grateful to all of you for all of the support. And if you could just like and share, like David said, it's just a push of a button. We're on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. If you could go and like and follow us, that would go a very, very long way in ensuring that we get to do this for a very, very long time. So with that said, Drew, take it away.
What do you do poorly in your recovery? And your sponsors listen to this. So.
I've sponsored people before, but I selfishly have stopped. Emotionally, I cannot. One, I work 2 jobs. I don't have a whole lot of time, but I also don't make a lot of time. If you call me and you need help, I will point you in the right direction. I have even, I will go to meetings with you. But as far as sponsorship, when it doesn't work out, it breaks my heart and I go into a 2-week depression, and emotionally I can't do it. So I'll help, but I will not sponsor.
It's fair.
What do you do well in your recovery?
I call my sponsor. I have done that. It blows my mind that she hasn't changed her number, that she hasn't moved out of state. She answers the damn phone, not knowing what is going on the other end of it, because sometimes it's pleasant and sometimes it's murder. So,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can I say something about sponsorship? For people who don't know, the 12-step program, normally you find a sponsor who helps you work the steps, takes you through the book, answers questions, and normally the sponsee can sometimes really lean pretty heavily on the sponsor. But I just want to say, not being into sponsorship, I don't think is that bad of a thing, because I've been sober for quite a while this run. I'm over 15 years, and I've got some friends who have been rock star. I mean, amazing, almost professional, not for pay, but just in their quality of sponsorship. Been amazing sponsors at times of their recovery, and there's times they just take a step back. I've got 2 friends right now who normally have 10 sponsees, and they're just not haven't taken anybody on for 2 years. They got a lot of stuff going on. So this whole idea that I've got to be all things to all people all the time.
Right. It's bullshit.
It's just not true. So, I mean, I see you working, I see you serving, I see you calling, I see you suiting up and showing up. So don't ever for a minute think that you should be doing. Time might come, the door will open. I mean, I've seen you sponsor some women. I've seen you walk with them all the way to the very end, and you did it gracefully and with dignity, and I appreciate that. But don't think because you're not the rock. I see some people sponsoring that should not be sponsors, quite frankly. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. They shouldn't be doing it. So I appreciate you leaning into your strengths and being okay with that. I really do.
Yeah, and we are well over our time, but that's okay. This episode has been incredible. But thank you for the 2 people that commented. Robert Monroe said, "Awesome, that looks like my barber." And Patrick Robinson said, "Altruism is so cool. It's nice when you meet people where their kindness is not a strategy." And that's very, very
Love
true.
both you guys. Robert, we need to get you on. Patrick, good to hear from you, man. Love to see
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, David, you want to take us out?
Thanks, guys. Next week, episode 102. Y'all check back in with us. We're glad you're here. Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next week.